Today I wanted to talk to you guys about my series situation that I am currently in. Every quarter I try to post about the series that I have been working on, have completed, or would like to start. The TBR or would like to start category is always a lot higher than the others because I have some big reading plans, but it doesn't always work out. I'm looking a bit rough today because I had boot camp yesterday and I've got it again today, and I just feel a bit out of it, but that doesn't matter. I'm here to talk about some series. So I'm going to start off with a quick wrap up of the previous quarter, talk about what I have been working on and what didn't work out for me. Starting off, I'm going to talk about the series that I finished in the quarter. There were only 2, which is why I'm starting off with this category. I'm going to take it as a win. So first of all, I finished off the Legends and Latte series. This is the first book. The second one is Bookshops and Bone Dust. I read the second book in January. It was my first book of the year and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. So I'm counting this as a win. As far as I'm aware, this series is over, but I don't know if the author is going to carry on with it because originally there wasn't supposed to be a prequel book, and then his author's note said that he was struggling to write, so he wanted to return to this world, so maybe he'll do the same thing again. I don't know. I'm really pleased with this series. I do think that you should read both of the books quite far apart. You should leave a massive gap because they are so similar. I don't think it's a good idea to marathon a series like this. This is my puppy. He's being very clingy today. We're just going to carry on and pretend he's not. But overall, a very solid, cozy series, and I really enjoyed this, so I'm glad that I finished it off. Switching to a slightly different vibe, I then finished off House of Earth and Blood. No, it's called Crescent City. The third book is House of Flame and Shadow, and that's the book that I read in February. And I didn't like it. This series really isn't very good. I don't think it's a very solidly written series at all. I don't really know what Sarah J Maas is doing here. To give you some background, I really enjoy her Throne of Glass series, absolutely love it, and I gave Akatar 1 star, although I would like to revisit that series and see how I like it now. But Crescent City, it just hasn't been a hit for me. I liked the first one, that was quite good. I liked that she was trying something different in that she was doing a sort of urban fantasy sort of vibe. And then book 2 was a bit rough, but I thought it was just middle book syndrome. And then book 3 happened and it was awful. I've seen all sorts of rumours about why it was so bad. Like, it was rushed, she wrote it in 5 weeks, she had to scrap the first book that was entirely finished, and then she wrote this in like such a short period of time. She's fired some editors or something. This is all alleged. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to think, but I didn't like this one. I gave it 2.5 stars, and I haven't done a review video yet at the time of recording this, but I do want to post one soon, so maybe there's already one up on my channel. But I'm counting this series as complete because it's the end of an arc, and I do think she probably is going to carry on because she's not known to write just trilogies. So I am counting this as a complete trilogy for now. We'll see what happens. There were also a couple of series that I restarted in this past quarter because I'm doing rereads of them. The first one being A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I reread this one in order to recap it, and also the show is coming out at some point this year. I don't think there's an official release date yet, but hopefully soon. This is one of my all-time favourite thriller series. It's a YA series set in the UK and I honestly just love it. So I of course gave this one 5 stars again. I'm really looking forward to carrying on with the rest of the series and doing a full reread and also recapping them on my channel. So I'm glad that I restarted this one. I also restarted Lore Olympus and I read the first 5 volumes in February. I really adore this series. I finished at the end of season 1. And prior to that, I've read up to the end of season 2. So I've got a little bit more rereading to do, but no more physical editions are out yet. So I don't know whether to carry on with it as a webcomic or if I want to wait for the physical books to come out and read them as they release. I'm not sure. I haven't really decided yet because it's not the same reading it on my tablet, to be honest. But I really do enjoy this series and I am glad that I can use it as like a palate cleanser and to get back into the world of Hades and Persephone. Next, I have a series that I've decided to carry on with, and that is the Princess Diaries series. I read books 6 and 7 this quarter. I also started book 8, but I haven't finished that one off yet. So I tend to read the series while I am in bed trying to fall asleep, and quite often I do fall asleep really quickly. So it is often slow going. In case you don't know what this is about, this book series came out in the early 2000s and it's about a girl who lives in New York and she finds out that she is actually a secret princess. It's not the best series, it hasn't aged particularly well, and I'm going to be controversial, but I really don't like Michael. Like, why did the author think that it was a good idea to put her with him? He is the worst. So that's kind of why I've slowed down reading this series as well, because I really don't like him and I know that they're probably going to be endgame, so I'm not very pleased with that. I am kind of looking forward to getting to the end of the series, to when Mia is an adult and seeing how the vibe of the series changes, because I think they have her wedding as a focus of one adult book and also quarantine or lockdown as the focus of another, so I'm interested to see how that works out, but I won't be getting to those anytime soon because I'm so slow with this series. And all of the other series that I want to talk about that I got to in this quarter are ones that I started. So I haven't done very well whittling down my total number of series, but I have found some really good ones. So I'd like to talk about those. First of all, I finally started the Murderbot series, and I've been listening to these as audiobooks, but I decided that I also wanted to get my hands on the physical copies. So I have purchased books 1, 2 and 3, and I've listened to all of them on audio. The audio narration is absolutely fantastic. I'd highly recommend listening to all of these as audiobooks. This series follows a robot called Murderbot, and I think it is basically going through the galaxy doing different tasks for different people. I'm not really sure what the overarching plot is, but it's something to do with Murderbot's backstory. It did something quite atrocious and no longer wants to be a Murderbot anymore. I've given all of the books in the series 4 stars so far, and I can't wait to carry on with it. I'm definitely going to carry on in the next quarter or so. I might do sort of 3 books at a time or something to try to catch up. I also started the Empire of the Wolf trilogy, I think this is called, starting with The Justice of Kings, and I have posted a full review of this one on my channel. I'm not sure how I'm going to like the rest of the series because this one was a bit iffy with the female character representation. All of the female characters were either there to serve a male character or they just died. So I'm not so keen on this one, but I did enjoy it, and I really enjoyed the narration as well. The audiobook is absolutely fantastic. Whoever the narrator is, I don't know her name, but she's brilliant. She's half the reason I want to carry on with this series, and I will be carrying on with it very, very soon because I am literally just about to start The Tyranny of Faith, which is the second book, and I'm currently recording this a little bit before the end of March, in case you didn't realise. So hopefully you'll see this in my March wrap up. If not, then I will be in the middle of it and I will be finishing it in early April. I haven't decided yet whether I want to read the third book immediately or if I want to leave a little bit of gap. I guess it depends how this one ends, I think. I haven't really decided yet. Let me know in the comments below. I also started The Emperor's Blades, which is part of the Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne, I think is the series name. I finished this book and I really enjoyed it. I did request the second one from the library, but I didn't get to it in time, and then someone else reserved it, so I had to return it, unfortunately. But I will be getting my hands back on that one as soon as I can because I do really want to carry on with this series. I haven't decided whether I want to purchase it for myself yet because I don't know if I'm going to love the series or not. I gave this first one 4 stars and I did really enjoy it, but you never know if a series is going to hold up, so I'm going to get them from the library and then see if I want to purchase them for myself for my own collection. This was a really interesting one. There's a lot going on in it. It mainly follows a bunch of siblings whose emperor father has been killed and the mystery surrounding that and what it means for the empire and for them. I also started the Tea Dragon Society. I don't have loads to say about this one. This is a really cute graphic novel series about tea dragons, and I probably won't be finishing off this in the next quarter just because it's not like top of my list, but it's very cute. So next time I want some graphic novels to read, I am going to pick these ones up. I think there's 2 more for me to read here. I also started Something Is Killing the Children. That's another graphic novel series and it's absolutely incredible. So this is a horror graphic novel series and it's literally about monsters who are killing children. Only children can see them apart from a group of monster hunters, and the main character is one of these monster hunters. She has been raised to hunt these monsters as part of this society since she was younger, except she doesn't like the way that this society runs. She doesn't like the way that she is supposed to kill the monsters and deal with things. So she's kind of rebelling against them and none of them like her. So they're sort of after her and it's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I've given all of them 4 stars, apart from volume 4, which I gave 5 stars. It's absolutely brilliant. So I can't wait to carry on with this one. I've read volumes 1 through to 5 and I'm waiting on volume 6 to come in from the library. Cannot wait. It's brilliant. I also started the Chronicles of St. Mary series. This is a time travel sci-fi sort of series and I didn't love it, so I'm DNFing this series, I think, unless someone tells me that it's worth carrying on. I'm just not sure it is. I didn't like the characters. I thought that the plot and the writing was very jumpy. You were sort of going back and forth and it just all felt very disconnected. So I wasn't a massive fan. Although if you have read this series, then let me know if I should carry on with it because I am very into time travel stuff and history. So seeing the different time periods that these characters were going back to was very interesting to me. I do have another book by this author that I have somewhere in this pile of books next to me that I'm going to mention later on in this video, so I'll talk about that in a bit. But as it stands, I'm not really interested in carrying on with the Chronicles of St. Mary's. Another one that I'm not sure whether I should carry on with is Godkiller. I've read the first book and I gave it 3 stars. It was just alright. Like I said in my February wrap up, I feel like this one could have just been, it's a duology and it could have just been condensed into 1 book, I think, because the first one is less than 300 pages long and I don't know why it just wasn't a solo fantasy book. I wasn't all that interested and I didn't really like how the main event, the war, happened already in the past in this first book, and it's kind of to do with the characters not even dealing with the repercussions of the war, but coming into a new threat. So it felt more like a spin-off series of something that had already happened, unfortunately, so I didn't love it. But let me know if you think I should carry on with it. If the second book is really good, I might consider it. I DNF'd a graphic novel which was Unearthed. I don't know how many volumes are in this one, but it's one of my series DNFs. I didn't like it at all, really. The storytelling just wasn't very good. And then finally, for series that I have been currently working on, I have the Windy City series. I read all 3 of the books that are out so far. I gave this one 5 stars, the second book 4 stars, and the third book 3 stars. This is a romance series full of companion books, and I really enjoyed it. I really loved the couple in this one and in the Right Move. Caught Up was just kind of boring because I didn't really feel a connection to the characters, so that was disappointing. But I'm looking forward to the 4th one when it comes out. I don't know when it's coming out, but hopefully sometime soon. I think the cover's going to be purple, which is really exciting to me. So yeah, I would recommend this series, and I'm glad that I started it because I loved this first book. And then I just briefly want to mention a couple of books that I am currently working on, because you might see them in my March wrap up, and I kind of just want to talk about them very briefly. I don't want to make it seem like I am lying to you and talking about things out of order. So these next 2 are ones that I'm currently working on, as in I am starting them literally today. And you might see them in my March wrap up, you might not, it depends how quickly I get through them. So the first one is one that I am currently about a chapter or so into, and that is The Girl Who Could Move Shit With Her Mind. And this is the first in, I think, a trilogy, possibly a longer series, and it's literally about a girl who can move stuff with her mind. She's telekinetic. And so far it's really amusing. It's a really funny kind of real world fantasy book, so I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm interested to see how it goes. And then also I have just started Caliban's War, and I'm again literally 1 chapter into it, so I don't know how this is going to go. I hope that I really enjoy it, and I would like to carry on with the series in the next quarter as well if possible. So that's my series wrap up for the last quarter, and now I think we can talk about my series plans. And I'm just staring at this pile of series, and you're going to think I've lost my mind because there are so many, but I am, in case you couldn't tell, really getting back into fantasy and sci-fi series and some romance series as well, but I don't really own many of those, so I need to calm it down. But I have so many ambitious reading plans for the next quarter, and I don't have any real life plans, so this feels amazing. Normally I'm really quite busy at the weekends, but this year we're currently saving up for our wedding and also to go to Australia for a friend's wedding. So we don't really have much coming up because we need to save some money. So I'm anticipating a lot of reading time over the next 3 months. So let me talk to you about my series plans that are coming up for the next quarter into summer. First of all, let me tell you about some book series that I really want to finish, like for definite. I'm telling myself this, but because I'm a mood reader, it might not happen. First of all, I have the Incendiary series. This was on my April TBR. This is just a duology. It shouldn't be too difficult to finish off. I can't remember anything about it though, so I'm going to have to read my own recap of the first book. I'm so glad I started recap-ins because it saves my life, honestly. So I can't really remember what this one's about, but I remember really enjoying the first book, so I'm looking forward to finishing off this duology, and I think like now's the time. It's only a short book and there's no reason not to finish it. Another duology that I really want to finish is, I think it's called the Raybearer series. This one is Redemptor, it's the second one, and this is a really interesting African inspired fantasy series, and I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm looking forward to carrying on. Again, I can't really remember what happened, and I can't remember if I've done a recap of Raybearer. I'm fairly sure I did, but if I didn't, I'm kicking myself because I can't remember much of what happened in it. I remember some stuff, but I can't remember like the overarching plot or any of the twists of the ending, so I might have to get my hands on a library copy just to refresh my memory. So that's another duology that I really want to finish. And then I also have, I've just realised all of these are YA. That's an interesting choice by me. I've got 2 trilogies I also really want to finish, and I need to read 2 books from each of them. The first one is the Blood Heir trilogy. Book 2 is Red Tigress, and book 3 is Crimson Rain. I loved the first one. I gave it 4 stars. It's about a girl who basically has like bending powers, if you're familiar with Avatar, and it's also Russian Empire inspired. So I really enjoyed the first one. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this series. I actually bought these 2 as soon as I finished the first one, and then I just never got around to them because I'm really bad at series, but can't wait to carry on with these. I'm really excited. And then one trilogy that I'm less excited about, but I feel like I need to just at least try it, and then if I DNF it, then that's fine. It's off my shelf, and that is the 1,000 Pieces of You series. I can't remember what the actual series name is or if it's that. I read the first one when I was a lot younger, maybe like 10 years ago, and I remember loving it, and then I reread it recently and I didn't like it at all, so I'm a bit nervous. I don't know why I bought these 2 books. It's just because I didn't buy them until quite recently. I genuinely thought that I would really enjoy it because I like parallel universe, multiverse sort of stories, and the first one ended up being really quite bad. So yeah, I'm gonna try to read the second book, which I think is 10,000 Skies Above You. And if I hate it, I'm just gonna DNF the whole series, but I need to give it a go and finally get this off my shelf because it's been 10 years. And it's ridiculous that I haven't finished or tried to finish this series yet. So I'm less excited about that one. I also have a few series that I am going to kind of start whittling my way through. I'm not going to finish them or catch up with them in this quarter, but it's my goal to get through them by the end of the year, so I might as well start now. The first one is Oathbringer. This is the third Stormlight Archive book. I've read the first two and really enjoyed them. I might have to reread the end of Words of Radiance because I can't remember. I remember what happened and where all the characters ended up, but I can't remember why everyone is where they're at or what built up to it. So I'm gonna have to do a bit of a reread, I think, or read a recap. But I want to read Oathbringer Part 1 this quarter at least, and then probably read the fourth book in the next quarter, and then I'll be caught up in time for the fifth book to come out. In theory. This is all in theory. So yeah, looking forward to this one. I'm quite excited. I also really want to read Bitter Blue. This was also on my April TBR. So I started the Graceling series years ago and really enjoyed both of the books that I've read so far. And this is more of a companion book. It's set quite a few years later after the end of Graceling, and it follows a character called Bitter Blue. And I remember really enjoying Kristen Cashaw's writing style and the world and stuff. And if I really enjoy this one, then I also have the fourth book on my shelf as well, and I can just carry on with it. And I think it's just time that I read the rest of the series. So I'm going to work on this one, just this book, this quarter. And then there's two that I need to reread in order to carry on with the series because, again, I'm really bad at reading series, despite what this video may make it seem like. The first one is The Demon King. I've read the first 3 books in the series. There are 4 in total, and I can't remember what happens in the third one, so I'm doing a full reread. Really enjoyed this fantasy series. It's really good, but I don't remember enough to describe it to you, so I need to do a reread. And I've got Unwind by Neil Shusterman, which is a dystopian book. I've, again, read the first 3 books in the series, but can't remember much about book 3, so I'm doing a full reread and then I can read book 4. I do really enjoy this one. It's a dystopian series and I'm looking forward to seeing how it holds up. And then finally, for the last section of this video, we have series that I want to start in this quarter, and this pile, let me just tell you, it's, again, going to make me look like I've lost my mind, but I am feeling confident and ambitious. So we're gonna give it a go. I don't even know how many there are here. Okay, there are 12 books. I've already started one of them, and that means in theory, I only have to read 4 a month, 1 a week in this quarter, and I've already made a start, so I think I can do it. I'm starting to question myself. This isn't a set TBR, obviously, like I'm a mood reader and it might change, so I'm under no pressure to actually do this. Let's just get into the books. You can see what I'm freaking out about. The first one is what's probably scaring me the most, and that is Wolf Song, because this book is enormous, but I think it's gonna be a really fast read. The synopsis of this kind of reminds me of a lot of the fanfic or fiction press stories that I was reading when I was younger, because it's about wolves, like werewolves, and I'm really interested in this one. It was on my 5-star prediction list, so I do think I'm gonna really enjoy this one because it's about family, so I'm really excited to get to this one despite the size. Now that this is off the pile, this doesn't seem too intimidating, so yeah, maybe this is just the one that's scaring me. Another 5-star prediction I have is The Phoenix King. I have been following this author on Twitter for ages, and she keeps posting fan art of these books, and it just looks amazing. This is the first in a trilogy called the Ravens trilogy, and only the first one is out so far, but I'm really looking forward to trying it. I don't know much about it at all other than the ship seems really cool in the fan art, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. One that I got from the library is The Principle of Moments. This is a time travel book and it's the first in the series. None of the others are out yet, so there's no rush to get to this one apart from the fact that it's a library book, but I think I'm going to enjoy it, so that's why I've put it on the list for this quarter, because I really want to read it. I'm interested. Then we have Promise of Blood, which I think was on my April TBR as well. This one is the start of a fantasy series. It's called the Powder Mage trilogy. I'm sure there's a subgenre for this type of fantasy where they have like guns and stuff, but I don't know what it's called. I'm sure someone can tell me in the comments. But I've heard really good things about this series and also the spin-off, so I'm looking forward to reading this one a lot, and that's why I've put it on my April TBR. I've had this one for years as well. I think it must have been on my shelf since around the time it came out, which was 2013, and I must have bought this a year later, so it's been on my shelf for 10 years, and it's silly that I haven't tried to read it yet. I've also got The Rise of Kyoshi because I'm planning on doing a reading vlog where I read books for lovers of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Obviously this is a companion book to Avatar itself. I think this one's going to be really fun and I cannot wait to read it. And I have The Blighted Stars. This is a sci-fi book, the first in the series, and the second one is already out, I think, so if I love this one I can get straight into the second. No idea what it's about, but I've heard really good things so far. Everyone seems to really enjoy it, so that gives me hope. It says here that the main character is stranded on a dead planet, forced to ally with her mortal enemy, which Sounds fantastic. It's the first in a trilogy as well, so there's meant to be another one coming out probably soon, I imagine. Another book from my April TBR is Foundation. This is the first in a series, but I don't know how long the series is, and it's a classic sci-fi book. I've read the first few pages and it's really gripped me already, so I'm looking forward to reading this one as well. I probably won't carry on with the series this quarter, but it's a good one to start. One that I have already started is Doing Time by Jodie Taylor. This is the author of The Chronicles of St. Mary's, which again, I didn't really enjoy, but I actually unfortunately bought this book before I started The Chronicles of St. Mary's, so because I found it in a charity shop and I thought it sounded good, and then I decided to go back and start The Chronicles of St. Mary's because that one was published first, didn't like it, and now I'm nervous about this one. So you may not see this after this quarter because I may well DNF the series if it's anything like the first book that I tried to read by her, but I've already read the first few chapters and I'm intrigued, so I'm hoping it's going to be better than the first series. So Doing Time. I also need to read The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord, and also the rest of the series, which are, I think, companions, but they are heavily related because the third book has been nominated for the Women's Prize. I'm trying to read all of the Women's Prize nominees because why not? Clearly I don't have enough to read, so I'm going to give this one a go very, very soon. You may see it in my March wrap up, or at least in my April one, I should hope. My friend Angela really likes this series and loves Karen Lord, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. And then the next three are also on my April TBR because that was a really ambitious TBR. I don't know what I was thinking. Much like this one. So I have The Rage of Dragons, Infinity Gate, and The Wolf of Oren Yarrow. The Rage of Dragons is a revenge gladiator Spartacus type story, I think, which sounds incredible. Infinity Gate is sci-fi multiverse sort of stuff, and The Wolf of Oren Yarrow follows a woman who is called the Bitch Queen, and she is trying to unite her kingdom and also find her missing husband, I think. All of those sound so good, and let me tell you, I know this TBR is ridiculously long for one quarter, but I am so excited to read all of these. I won't necessarily read them all in this quarter, but I hope to read them all this year, and I may take some of these out and put some other book series in because I have a lot of book series behind me that I've just never gotten to, and I'm so excited to be back into my fantasy zone reading book series again, because there were a good 2-3 years there where I wasn't really that interested in book series and I was mainly just reading thrillers, and all of these have accumulated behind me because I've been neglecting them. I don't know, I just love book series where you can follow the characters, really get connected to them. It's just not the same in a standalone book, and that may be why my ratings haven't been that good in the last few years. They haven't been very high, and I think that's because I've been struggling to relate to characters who I only see for 300-400 pages. I would much rather be following them through an epic adventure where they go through tons of character development over like thousands of pages. That's much more my thing. So I really hope that I'm now getting back into series, mainly fantasy and sci-fi, and I'm really excited to be creating these videos as well. If you want me to focus on any of these books in any videos and do like reading vlogs for them or something, then I definitely can. I'm already thinking about doing a couple of vlogs where I finish off series that I'm in the middle of as like the theme of the reading vlog. I'm just really bad at reading vlogs. I don't know what's happened lately. I think it's just because I'm busy and get distracted, and I don't want to use my phone to record because the quality just isn't as good, and I think it would be quite jarring to go from this to my phone quality. This camera is much less portable, so therefore I only record when I'm at home. So yeah, I need to get back into reading vlogs, I think. I hope you like this video. I know that it's really long, but hopefully you understand my enthusiasm. You are just excited for me, maybe, to read these series. Let me know in the comments below what your series reading plans are for the next quarter or for the rest of the year. Are you trying to focus on series, or do you mainly read standalones? Are you not too bothered? Do you not even pay attention? If you would highly recommend any of these, let me know in the comments below as well, and I'll try to prioritize them. That would be very exciting. And thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you all in my next video. Bye.